you're not socially distanced, try to get somewhere you feel comfortable. So we'd like to call the meeting to order, the Thursday, October 2020 council meeting. Could I have a roll call, please?
Yes, ma'am. Vice Mayor Watts.
Here.
Councilwoman Campbell.
Here.
Councilwoman Scott. Councilman Evil.
Here.
Councilman Petty.
Here.
Councilman Reese.
Here.
City Attorney Moore.
Here.
Thank you. Now we have the approval of the minutes. Has everyone had a chance to read the minutes that were sent to you? Do we hear a motion to approve those?
All motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the minutes stand approved as written. Thank you. Consideration of bills over $2,000. Danielle, do you have those?
We have the fleet bill that's $2,296.37, and I have a copy up here if you guys want to see it, as well as our annual FEMA bill, which is $5,560.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve both or one individually?
Motion to approve. Can I ask one question, just for educational purposes? Is that for any particular building, or what is that bill for?
Do you have?
I have
Did we have a
it.
copy? Did we give them copies?
I sent it out in the packet.
Okay.
Oh, I missed it then.
That's okay. It shows 2 buildings on here. I'm not sure what they are. It just says current and increased coverage. I honestly don't know who really pays the invoices. I just know it's for our flood insurance for.
I wondered if it's, I mean, it doesn't really matter. It is what it is, but I'm just curious to educate myself. If it's maybe at the water plant or maybe even City Hall's in it, I don't know.
No, I think it would be, is it the Scout building, do you think? Okay.
Okay, well, it's just.
We can find out though if you want.
I'd be curious, but I'll second the motion.
Okay, okay. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on that? Okay, all in favor to approve the payment?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, pay those, thank you. Now we have our concerned citizens segment, and 2 people have applied to be on up front, and we'd like to first call up Shonda Stallings-Woods and Carolyn Lefferts, please, to our podium to talk about a wonderful project they have on town.
I am Chanda Stallings-Wood. My dad was Ed Stallings. The city of Carthage was nice enough to create a memorial park for him after his accident in 2004. And as you all may know, the gazebo that was there had to be torn down because of whatever reasons, age. And this nice lady, Caroline Lefwich, has reached out to me to start a fundraiser to try to raise some money to get that gazebo built back up for us. And we did. We started a GoFundMe page on Facebook, and we have right now running donations. We've got at $2,385. And on the packets I gave you guys, I have spoken with Bobby Moss, who owns Thompson Moss Concrete Log Homes. He's given us a very generous offer to rebuild that gazebo. He's going to donate some of the materials, and he's estimated a cost of $3,400. That's with the 2 little concrete slabs on the side for the little picnic table and the swing that I was talking about. So we're hoping that we can get the city's approval to get that gazebo built up pretty soon, hopefully.
Thank you. And I just think this is wonderful what they're doing. As you know, probably the history of the gazebo was there quite some time, and eventually termites got the best of it. We had to tear it down for safety reasons. So this is wonderful because it's concrete and we won't have to have a lot of upkeep on it. It's just wonderful all the way around. So what I think they're asking us tonight is if it's okay for the council to go ahead and approve that they can give us the funds once they raise them, and then put in motion a design. And just so you know, in the deed, that was a church there at one time. After it burned, it was deeded to a memorial park for Shonda's father. That's all it can be used on. Nothing else can ever be put there by the terms of the deed. So they're doing a wonderful thing to replace that gazebo that the community really loved. because it was so special in memory of her father, who was the fire chief here. I think you all probably know that. So do I hear a motion that it's okay?
Motion to approve.
Okay. All right, any discussion on that?
The only discussion I would have is that can the city put some in on that? They've raised most of it. Is the city going to give a donation?
Sure, we can certainly match that. We can do whatever is needed to bring it up to where it needs to be.
It looks like we only need about $1,000.
Right, right.
Do we want to try to let the private sector see what they can do, and if there's anything left over, we can look at
Well,
that.
we can go ahead and, if there's more funds coming in, sure. Yeah.
Me and John are still planning on putting in on this too. We are waiting to the end to see who we can match. So far, it's $200, and we both will double that.
That's wonderful. So they're going to match the highest contribution. Oh, okay, you're taking on a challenge there. That's great. That's great. So wonderful. So yes, if that's okay, we'll let them continue, and then you'll maybe come back to us the next
Yes,
meeting.
and we're still taking donations out of Teresa's gifts.
Okay. Donations that Teresa's gives and a GoFundMe still?
Yes, on
Okay.
Facebook.
And there's a Facebook post somewhere up there.
It's a page.
Page, yes.
Yeah, for what it's called,
Replace the gazebo.
Replace the gazebo. So if anyone out there wants to contribute, they have a GoFundMe on Replace the Gazebo Facebook page. And it's just a lovely thing. And if you look at that design, it's an amazing design.
well, we hope this time, it's not gonna have the same issues.
Right.
The columns, Bobby's donating 6, the columns himself, and they'll all be concrete. He's gonna tear down or take up the pad that's there now, the concrete slab, replace that, and it can be stained whatever color, rather than just gray. And then he's gonna, donate all the stains and the labor. And his son is also a firefighter, so, they want to get some other firefighters to help, and they've already got some that are willing. So, I think, and if he uses the PVC on the railing, I think that too will prevent termites.
Those termites will have a hard time with that, won't they? Eating through that one.
One more quick question.
Sure.
Does this include the cost of the picnic table and swing?
No, it does not.
So you
That was
don't-
a kind of a wishful thing that we have, so the slabs he added, because we knew that Bobby would need to do those. So the swing and the picnic table would have to be added to that.
That's if we all decide to do that. But the slabs would have to be so they can't mow under that. It would be hard, so that
It
would
would
be.
sink in the ground,
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. So we have a motion second, and any other further discussion, we'll let them move forward and hopefully donate this. And if they don't have quite enough, we'll try to match that. That'd be wonderful. Thank
We
you
need
so
a
much.
vote.
All right.
We just had a second on that, Mayor.
Oh, did we? Okay.
We didn't vote.
Okay, all in favor, I'm sorry, all in favor.
Aye.
And any opposed?
Ladies, thanks.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That's wonderful. All of you that remember Mr. Stallings, he was a very special man, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mayor, Bobby did have one request.
Sure.
If the city could help, he doesn't have a good way to remove the concrete.
Oh, yeah.
That's there once
Yeah,
he
that's-
breaks it up. So-
Les says that's no problem, we can do that.
Take care of it.
Yeah,
Thank
thank you so
y'all.
much, y'all have a great one, appreciate it. Okay, then we have Mr. Robinson here.
Yes.
Yes, okay. We had last time talked a little bit about your plans for trash, and I think you have some update to give us on that?
I don't have respectable numbers or anything right now, but I do have potential for a private centralized trash location. I still gotta get numbers together and talk with a few more businesses about it, but it is a possibility.
Okay,
And that's what I've got for you right now. I don't have any other information.
okay, thank you. So you and some others are working,
I'm trying to work something out because the everyday trash haul from the alleyway is unacceptable. I can't afford that, and I'm sure other businesses are having the same issue. So looking for something to do.
okay. But there is a place, it's a possibility.
There is a possibility. There's nothing set in stone at this time. It's still all talk until we have numbers that are on paper for everybody to look at and have a respectable opinion about. It's still just talk right now.
Okay, all right, thank you. Will you keep us posted as
Yes,
you
ma'am.
go along? Okay, thank you so much. Any other concerns from citizens who live here in town or have a business here in town?
We know you alluded at, I believe, the last meeting, even though we voted on this in February, that there were ramification or rulings of where we could not put a dumpster on the city's parking lot beside City Hall because of proximity to houses.
Mm-hmm.
Do we know what that distance is?
The actual distance to a house? I think it was more of the smell and the odors and the problem there.
I don't know if it's a distance, I think it's a property barrier, you can't have a joint property with
Right.
private property, I think is how it is. And I don't think that there's a footage, I don't know about a footage distance, I think it's just a property line barrier.
Well, I was noticing between the Carter Hardware building and the stairs that go down to the fire hall, there are 2 parking spaces there that do not border any houses and are a fairly good distance away from them. And I'm just curious if that might be a possibility to build a pad there.
I'm not closed-minded at all, everything's a possibility right
I don't see
now.
why that would be an issue either. But I do think we were supposed to have that on unfinished business, it's gone again. So I know that we voted to make sure that this came up every meeting.
Well, that's why we brought Mr. Robinson
Okay,
in.
this should be under unfinished business, but I think we should definitely discuss it under unfinished business.
That we find too. And one of the places that I think that say you're looking at would be away from residences too, so.
Yes, it's directly behind the museum parking lot in that gravel lot right there. I talked to Mr. Digger, like I said, there's nothing secured right now, it's just talk, possibly setting up something right there. Like I said, I've still got to get numbers together and anything to see if it's even worth investing into that lot or not.
On the corner of 3rd and Spring Street.
Yes.
I believe so, yes.
No.
Yeah.
It would be,
About where that trailer with the water
right.
tank on it sitting right there approximately.
Okay. If you would just keep us posted, we can bring it under unfinished business next time we just talk.
That's fine.
Okay. Thank you very much. Any other citizens here in town who live here, have a business here, have a concern of any type? Okay, thank you. The next item is the mayor's report. Couple of good things I want to brag on our town, and we had a wonderful Walton Day Festival on Saturday. Every business person I've talked to said they did an amazing amount of business, very, very productive. We tried to have as many masks and distances as possible, but it's hard to do at those occasions. We do want to thank Mr. Bill Woodard with the chamber, because the chamber and their staff is the one who really works to put that together every year. We want to thank Rackley Roofing, because they provided the zip line that the kids had a ball going up and down, and it's quite an expensive endeavor they put together. They've done it for several years now. I also found out that they have upgraded the public restroom that's behind the courthouse. If you've been in there lately, it looks amazing, and Rackley Roofing just did that on their own, so we really appreciate that. Virginia will talk about the facade grant a little later, but I do want to say, if you've been downtown lately, it's just looking wonderful. And I do want to point out and give some thanks to the committee that worked on that. It was all citizens, and so I'm going to name them off and thank them right here publicly. Carol Wilmore, Salter Rackley, Billy McKinley, John Wagner Jr., Dr. Gordon Petty, Bill Reese, and Randy Dixon. We want to thank excuse me, Bill, I got you on there. Okay, we want to thank all of you very much for doing that. They worked several months going through all of these applications, approving everything. It was a real labor of love on their part, and we wanted to thank Virginia for helping us with the grant, coming on a little late on it, but picking up and going with it, so we appreciate that. And you can talk a little bit later about that. The other good news is our I&I proposal to the state revolving fund loan was submitted yesterday. If we're one of the 6 people, well, we're up against 5 other cities. They're going to select 3, and it's a 50% match if we get it. The proposal looks phenomenal. The two engineers who put it together did an amazing job putting it. At some point when it's submitted, we'll maybe make that public also, but it would be wonderful. I think we're all excited. They put together a team of Public Works and Sewer, and it's just going to be a wonderful project if we get it, and we'll all have our fingers crossed on that. If it comes about and they do it, then we would be in line for having all of this information up front for a loan to do our actual sewer lines. We could save millions by having the information up front of which lines need to be fixed and which really don't need to be touched at this point. So we want to thank everybody who was involved with that. Okay, the next report is from our attorney.
Don't have a formal report, and we've got a couple agenda items, but glad to answer any questions if anybody has any.
Any questions? Okay. The next report is from our CMFO, Ms. Teresa Jones.
Everything is running smoothly in the front office. We had our auditor come in, and he and I are still discussing a few points that we're still working on. The Badger meter upgrade, Cindy is still working with them to get all of that going. There is a little bit of an issue about meter numbers, but she has figured that, and everything seems to be going okay.
Great, thank you. Okay. City Recorder, Ms. Danielle.
I don't have anything formal at this time unless you guys have questions.
Okay, thank you. The Police Chief, Chief Davis.
I don't have anything to report other than we had a patrolman graduate the Police Academy last week.
Yay.
Patrolman Isaac Wicks, he graduated last Thursday. He's doing good. We're just gonna kind of start him in and get him out there and start doing a good job. So everything else though is running smooth, and I don't have anything else to report unless y'all have any questions.
Wonderful. Congratulations. It's wonderful. Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Public Works, Mr. Fisher, Leslie.
Oh, hell, we're gonna start next week, washing and cleaning, like light posts up and down, the lights.
Wonderful. Those things are great when they're shining at night. They're just beautiful downtown. So thank you for doing that. Thank you. Water and Sewer, Mr. Brooks.
I don't have anything to report, but I'll be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Any questions? The water plant, Mr. Rusty, Jim?
The raw water intake wireless system that y'all approved at the last meeting, it's installed, and up to this point, it's running flawlessly. So I really appreciate y'all letting us get that. That's really going to help us and save us money down the road. So other than that, I'm open for any questions. So.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Rusty? Okay, thank you. Wastewater treatment tonight, Ricky is filling in for Steve.
Reported, we got our new vortex pump in at the main lift station at the plant, and so we're now set good with all of our lift stations.
Wonderful, thank you.
I thought that we really needed. Appreciate it.
For the fire department, I believe Chief Hyatt left us a thing here of what's kind of happening there. Remember, we went ahead and approved for the ladder truck to be fixed, the hydraulic leak it had in it. And he's put in here that originally they estimated it to be about $5,000. He had to send it to New Jersey, I believe, to be fixed. So that he doesn't quite know yet exactly how much. So we're going to put that invoice off to the next time since we don't have that tonight to do. But he kind of outlined everything else we have here. We had applied for a Cdbg grant for the fire truck, which didn't come in, but we had a wonderful conversation yesterday morning with the assistant commissioner down there and UCDD grant writer who wrote that for us and the head of UCDD. And so we may either try to reapply for the fire truck, or he also showed us a way we can use this for our water and sewer. Either way we want to go. We use those for big ticket items, so we're hopeful either we'll get a fire truck out of this next time or some sewer lines out of when it comes up.
Mayor Smith, was it denied or it didn't go? We don't know yet.
Well, the thing is, yeah, here's the dilemma we have. Smith County, unfortunately, or good, I guess, has a very low unemployment rate, so that brings our numbers down, even though here in Carthage, we have other numbers that bring it up, and he kind of went through a whole litany of, here's how we could change our numbers around and help it. So we took notes all over the place, so next time we apply for this, either for the fire truck or for sewer or water, I think we'll have a better chance, because he's kind of given us some idea of what we need to adjust in there to make this work next time. So hopefully we'll have our fingers crossed with this. If we get the loan from the state revolving fund loan for the 50%, and we can get that design and that research up and going, this will put us in line probably to get a pretty good grant from Cdbg, because we already have that design and planning up front, and that's something he said that would help us quite a bit on that. So that'll be next year. Well, it's coming up, not that, actually at the end of this year we can apply again for that. So once, we'll have to have a public hearing and go through all those steps again, but Marcy Ackerman is going to kind of, and Tommy Lee they're both going to kind of walk us through that. So that's, and the chief says hi. He's can't be with us tonight. So, alrighty, grant reports. So we get to the building facade. Ms. Alexander, would you like to bring us up to date?
We've completed 8 buildings in downtown as of right now, and we have 2 more that are going to be completed in the next couple of months. Mr. Bill Woodard's building on Water Street will be getting the awnings, and the rest of the funds will go to the Harris service station on the corner there by River's Edge. So it's kind of based off whatever funds are left after the completed projects, then we'll go to the Harris station for what they want to do. So we'll have a little bit of an approval process to go through, and then they'll be able to get their project started. So it's gone really well. I think there's been a big impact with it.
Yeah, we've had wonderful compliments.
I've got a question. On the River's Edge Antiques, the windows that they put in, one of them's fogging up.
Okay.
Did you know about that?
I didn't, but I can let the contractor
Yeah,
know.
it's, I guess it's double pane, and there's air, or that fog gets in between the gas or whatever, and they're fogging up. I think it's only one of them, but it was called to my attention when I was down there today.
Okay. I'll contact him tomorrow. Thank you.
Any other questions, Virginia?
I do. You sent us all that Healthy Built Environments grant. I missed it on the agenda. But can you tell us about what that grant involves? It was like a 100% grant?
Yes, so that is from the Department of Health. They release this grant every 2 years, and there's 2 different levels for it. You can do planning, or you can do more of a construction project. And it just has to be something that is helping with the healthy built environment. So like building something or planning to build something that will encourage people to have a healthy lifestyle. So I sent it to the council because you guys have been talking a lot about the crosswalks and sidewalks and that kind of thing. So it would be good for planning for that, which you can request up to $50,000 to have a consultant come in and help set up, plan and come up with like an actual document that has ideas and recommendations and that kind of thing. Or you can request up to $80,000, I believe, for construction projects. So if you had parks or something, greenway, something like that you wanted to work on, you could do that. So they have a letter of intent that is due, or a intent to apply form that is due at the end of this month, and then they will look at that and receive applications that they've requested. So,
and then is there an application date?
The application I don't think is due until the end of January if you get asked back.
But we gotta submit a letter of intent by October 29th, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, I'm sorry, would it cover playground equipment if we?
It does cover playground equipment and greenways, any type of healthy type of activity.
Possibly back to the walking trail.
I'm sorry?
Possibly back to paving the walking trail.
Yes, you also have the grant available?
Can we put it on, piggyback it on top of it though?
Potentially. I'm not sure how TDEC likes to do matching funds and that type of thing, so that would be a question for TDEC. But
This was an idea I had for this possible grant. It was 100%. And we're really needing to revamp with everything, all the beautification that's going on downtown. We've got a lot of investment in that. And it's updating our sidewalks in our streets and maybe getting an engineer to come in and look at that, and getting those done because, there's a lot of safety issues down there, one. Also, there's a lot that we can potentially be setting up for future revenues as far as sales tax revenue. There's a lot of businesses that are investing in that area, that pay a lot of taxes. And I think it would be good to, start looking down at our downtown and get some maintenance going on that. And, cause we've got some other grants and everything going for these other areas, but downtown, I see wrecks, every week. I'm seeing, people are struggling across the street. We need crosswalks. We need our sidewalks up to date. Some of our we need our parking, like we have places where the parking, areas aren't straight. People are parking in the middle of the street. We have a turning lane that hasn't needed to exist for a while. So that's kind of what,
that may be something that planning would have to look at if we do go
yeah,
that direction. So,
we had looked, the planning commission had looked at this issue. Roger, was that back in January, December?
I believe it's probably more close to February.
Yeah. So we had looked at talking about doing this, but also it was the money idea was the issue. If we got 100% grant on this, we're looking at getting, engineers from Maddox for nothing.
I think probably we'd have to bring most of the business owners in to get their opinions on that too, if we did something like that, and the planning commission, because that's a pretty big,
absolutely,
it's a pretty big project. If we did, do we have anyone here who's, I don't know.
I've talked to several, and I know that in your meeting you discussed possibly doing away with pull-in parking and going to parallel parking, which would take us from 40 spots on the 2 blocks to probably about 13 or 14, and the retail businesses are opposed to it.
I'm not really sure what you're talking about.
I've had contacts from several different retail businesses down there. Said that your idea of your plan meant to do away with the pull-in parking and put parallel parking.
Can you
and bring them?
I'd like you to source who said that, because I've never told anyone anything of that nature. We've talked about.
I'll have them call you then.
No, if you're gonna tell me, I'd like to source who these businesses are. If you're gonna
I don't think we do
say
that in
because
here.
that's actually not true at all.
Councilman, it would be the same as you're making statements and not wanting to relate who the statements came from. I don't know that we have to.
Okay, well, I was not in the meeting. I got calls on it.
Saying that it's false information because there is no plan. There's ideas. There's about 60 different ideas that are going on right now. I'm not an engineer. I would advocate that you not appoint me to engineer your parking. I'm just a business owner. I only own a couple businesses on the square. I only am down there all the time.
Well, I'll contact the people, and if they're willing to talk to you, that's fine.
Yeah, I'd absolutely appreciate that. But what I'm looking at is, I don't think that this is an opportunity that we could have an engineer, not me, not you, that an engineer could come in and talk to all the business owners to see what would work best for the group of business owners.
If you don't mind, can we kind of table this next time, because it's not an item on the, yes ma'am.
Well, we can't
I
table
just wanted
next
to
time.
go on with our grant discussion.
Yes, please.
Because there are many ideas that could be used. I'd be willing to be a part of helping write that letter of intent, maybe to do something at the park.
Yeah.
Because we initially, a couple years ago, had some park ideas. We had a park committee. So we already kind of have some ideas in place that we wanted to improve for the health and fitness kind of thing. So I think we could do some more things at the park as well.
Yeah.
That's another idea that we can look at, and I'd be willing to help.
Well, can we do this so that we, because there is a timeline on this, so I don't think we can table it. We need to have this letter in by the 29th. Let's get the letter of intent in, and then let's have an engineer come in, and we all decide as a council where we want to go with it, whether we want to go with the park, or we want to go downtown sidewalks or anything like that, whatever we want to do.
Should we be part of this letter? What goes into this letter?
It's an
Not just
online form.
write up a letter to, okay, we want to do this, this, this,
And
this.
does it need to put our ideas in there? Is that what that would be?
Yeah, you have to have a project in mind. It's not,
A project.
Yeah, you can't really just go with, we want these 2 things. You can do some planning and some for the park, but you gotta at least know what the ideas are, because you can check multiple facets of it. And they can be the two different projects, but you just need, it can't just be like bring an engineer in to figure out what we're doing. You have to kind of have projects in mind for them to.
Could we look back at that list from the Parks Committee a few years ago and see what those ideas were?
And we also have a Parks and Rec committee now who are all citizens, and they've got similar ideas to what. They're very interested in adding more playground equipment to our park. That's why we
I
have
have a
the.
wonderful idea on that
Okay.
And Barbara, I think we could, I mean, what we're looking at is not the project itself, we're looking at just engineer designs. So there's no reason, I don't think, that we could look at doing both. I don't think, we necessarily would have to do one or the other. We could look at doing both, because the park needs some sidewalks down there too. We need some crosswalks down there, absolutely. Especially if we're gonna have a area here where we have walking, and we got baseball fields and playgrounds and pools. We need a crosswalk down there too. So I'm not opposed to that. But let's keep our minds open about it, is all I'm asking.
I think the question would be, Virginia, in a grant, don't we have to have a particular scope and stay with that for that grant, or how does that work?
You can, and this was one of the rare grants that, like I was saying, you can choose multiple things. You just have to, if you were gonna allocate, $25,000 to do the downtown plan and the rest of the funds to do something at the park, that's fine. You just can't go in and say, we just want this money to figure out what we wanna do with it. You gotta have these projects together, or at least in mind, and then if it is hiring a consultant to do the plan, and then also hiring somebody to come in and add some things to the park, I mean, that's still a strong application. You just have to know that going into it. And it's not, Mr. Reese, it's not a letter from the city necessarily, it's an online form, like an application. So you do have the detail, and I can send that to you if you would prefer to take a look at it that way, as far as what goes into it.
If it's due on the 29th, I feel like we're rushing this letter and the content of the letter and what the scope is.
It just became available though. I mean,
but still, we need to be all together on this.
Yeah.
So do we want to have a follow-up meeting on this?
I don't know, and may I add something to this, and Virginia, you can probably reiterate or tell better the conversation that we had regarding, like y'all asked me to look into burying the lines downtown, which I think kind of ties into what you're talking about doing. Would you like to explain what you told me?
Sure. There are limited funds to help with burying lines these days. TDOT used to have some grants that helped, and then they lowered the percentage, and now it's a case-by-case basis. So what I recommended to Sam was to talk to Upper Cumberland Electric about maybe moving the lines to the rear alleys. If you can hook up your services to the back of the businesses, potentially, then that would help keep your lines cool in the air rather than buried. I know buried is much more aesthetic, but cheaper wise, less impact on the businesses, because when you bury lines, you do have to close down the street to cut into the ground, repave over it. It's a big project, but Upper Cumberland would be your first point of contact as far as figuring out how much it would cost to bury versus how much it would cost to move them to the back alleys. Those are the options.
Did you ever get a contact, you were going to get a contact with Upper Cumberland? I've never heard from anybody.
I was gonna get one. I'll be glad to. Jimmy, we can call Jimmy Gregory. I didn't know, I'll be glad to call him if you want to talk with him.
One scenario of running it, down through the back versus burying it and whatnot would be good.
So do you want me to get those numbers then?
Please do.
Okay, I'll be glad to do that.
So based on Bill's idea, or Bill's discussion of we're rushing this, do we want to have another meeting to get this grant going? Because this is $50,000 free money to get either a park, or get our downtown, or get both. Get some engineers come at us, get some stuff going.
I mean, could we just put it in there where that's our two ideas for the money, is downtown improvements and then
We can look at it. I think the more specific that you get, the better. I mean, you don't necessarily need to know we're gonna do 10 crosswalks and whatever, but it's.
What scares me about it is that, say for instance, we wanted to go with, say the engineer, parallel parking. My God, I can imagine Main Street parallel parking. I can't do it myself. I think I've done it one time. I did driver's license for 10 years. I never asked anybody to parallel
This is why I'm like, I don't like to operate off of rumors and hearsay, because now we have this idea that it is a set parallel parking, and now that is what is going to continually go. And that's plain politics. We don't need to do that here. We need to be open and transparent on who's saying what, because we have a lot of citizens who want better parking down there. Because I'm down there. I talk to these people every day. Matt, you're down there, you talk to them too. And so that's why I want to know who's saying this, because the downtown.
We've already covered that, Cole. I'm gonna contact them and if they're willing to contact
Okay,
you.
yeah, they can show up here too and say that
Yeah,
in front of us.
absolutely.
That'd be great.
So we've covered that.
Let me throw something out. Oh, Dr. Duke?
Yeah, just from a planning standpoint, remember, we've got a grant going for the walking track, and that's in the floodplain. And although we got a grant, we should kind of let planning commission work with this as well, because, not because they're gonna do anything wrong, it's just there's a lot of little nuances that you can apply for a grant to do something and be in the floodplain. And what we've been working on that about 6 months now, trying to get FEMA to get everything just right.
I have a good idea. Why don't we do this, Dr. Duke? Why don't the city council authorize we apply for this grant, have the planning commission go ahead and write it up, because that's what they do. That's actually the next step would be right there, am I right? Would be the
Yeah,
planning
everything
commission.
has to go through the planning commission.
Okay, so it's gotta go through the planning commission, have them write it up, and then we can attend the meeting next week if we wanna add to it or take away from it. That way we don't have to have another meeting. We're rocking and
Well,
rolling.
is it their job to write the letter, or is it their job to approve, and make sure that what we propose is accurate?
Well, the planning commission it's the duty of the planning commission to make it fit the overall plan for the city, whatever the long-term plan for the city is, make sure it matches that.
Right.
But otherwise, I don't think it would be our duty to, or a responsibility to write that. My thing is.
To approve it, though.
Yeah, it has to be approved through the planning commission beforehand.
Sure.
Not that they're gonna turn it down, the planning commission will turn it down, but that catches things like what we got into with FEMA, because we've got a lot of floodplains, especially down in, and we're talking about the park, and that's in the floodplain. So.
But once we get the survey and everything, then we've got everything for FEMA that they need, once we've gone through all the hoops we've gone through right now.
Right.
For anything else that's down there.
For just that project, though.
Yeah,
And just to think also the engineering costs, just to get everything put together.
Here's a concern I want to raise, because we've already experienced this with several different grants. If we decide to change the scope of the grant, we lose the grant. So unless we know going in specifically what we want this money for, I don't think they're going to let us waffle it back and forth. So,
Well, and we could pay the engineering fee, and then the city council or the city not have the funds to do the project. So we could lose that much money if we do the engineering fee only, not knowing if the project is doable or if we will have the funds to do the project down the road, if it is doable. I don't know, just voicing concerns as well.
I guess my question would be, is there anything simple and easy that we could apply that money to that would beautify anywhere in town that we have?
Honestly, I
there's a
think
lot
we're
of, besides just downtown, that.
We're working off of a lot of what ifs. Let's work off of facts. We got a fact that this is due on the 29th, right? Okay, so we can go ahead and approve it for the 29th. We have a form that we can come and discuss and put our ideas in for the planning commission. Not necessarily this planning commission's duty, but someone's got to write the letter. It doesn't say who has to write the letter, am I right?
It's not a letter, it's an application.
It's an application, so.
And we would write that.
You guys would do it, okay. So neither the planning commission nor us would do that. These are all facts we're working on. We're not making guesses of what could happen. This is what would happen. We can put our ideas in the planning commission next week, and then everybody's happy. It's a good compromise. Everybody okay with that?
Can I please clarify something?
Certainly.
When you apply for a plan, that does not mean that you are applying for a necessary, like, in-stone design of how something is going to look. You're asking a consultant to come in and do community engagement. You're asking them to meet with business owners. They come up with potential designs and recommendations. It's not saying that you have to do it. It's not, it's not this huge stack of, full plans and specs that cost into the hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's a plan, it's a book, a document that will have design ideas. It will have recommendations of what should be done. It'll list your safety concerns, safety issues that they see. It's not anything that's saying if we get this plan, then we have to do it. And what the community does with it after, You can leave it on a bookshelf and never look at it again, or you can actively use it, just like you would a strategic plan.
So is this something by the 29th they can do?
No, you apply for, you put in your application for intent to apply, and then they review that, and then by the end of January, if they ask you to put in a full application, then you'll put in more information than just, here's what we want to do.
So
The scope has to be in the intent to apply.
Not necessarily perfectly defined, but
Okay, but
you
in
do want,
generalized
yeah,
scope.
you don't want to
Okay.
just say, yes, we want this money. You have projects in mind for it.
Okay, so would you all be okay with putting the generalized scope in this, and then we talk about the generalized scope at the next meeting, meet with the constituents in both areas, talk to all of them, ask around, get sources
By the
too,
29th.
by the 29th.
Well, I think we could just do a general, I mean, Virginia, it sounds like we can just kind of be like, we have some playground improvements or, you know, walking track improvements or whatever, and possibly some downtown improvements. Like, it's not like we have to say, we're gonna spend this, and this, and do this, and this. I mean, it was just general enough to weed through, but
Yeah, I mean, you don't necessarily need to say, like, we want to do 5,000 linear feet of sidewalk with curb and gutter and this many crosswalks, but you do want to say, we have, if you're going to do a playground, you know, what type of playground, where is it located, what are your end goals for it, if you want to plan what you're hoping to get out of it. So more than just like, we want to pay a consultant to do this, or we have some land, we'd like to put a playground. Like, you need a little bit of detail, but not necessarily like square footage and that kind of thing. Cost estimates are good to have. I mean, we can estimate what a plan costs. We know that in our office, and I mean, general playground equipment, it depends. $80,000 isn't gonna get you too far on playground equipment these days, depending on what you're looking for.
So,
But
if I'm hearing correctly, and, because I don't know, are you talking about literally tearing up the sidewalks and replacing them?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that if you want to do a plan, a consultant will come in and talk about what the project could be.
But I mean, is that what y'all have in mind? Is that your vision? I mean,
No one has anything in mind. No one has any parallel site, whatever. These are ideas, and we are at the very
so there's
beginning.
no design or anything that y'all have to
The-
kind of know what you're talking about?
What this grant is to do is to get an idea. We would say something like, we want improved parking in these areas. We want improved playground equipment in these areas. As far as the design goes, that's not up to us. That's why we're getting the grant, to get someone who's an expert to do the design.
So
That's,
are you talking about UCDD, or are you talking about yourself, or who's going to be doing the grant?
We would write the application for you like we have,
UCDD.
yes, for other projects. We've written grant applications. We would work with you all on a grant application on this form of intent to apply, just like we have on other projects. You all choose the project, but
I don't know, it seems like a lot to get done by the 29th.
It does, I agree with Matt, it looks like we're looking at three different things. We're looking at the playground equipment, the downtown, design, and the walking track. And if I'm not mistaken, I think that's the three things we're looking at.
well, yeah, and I think
we got 2 grants in for 2 of those things. The one thing that's being neglected is downtown. And
I
that's
still wanna-
a parking plan, not a specific parking plan.
I just don't want to rush something either, just on the, you know.
Let's play devil's advocate. This comes up next year, we got the same amount of time. And then the next year after that.
I'd like to say I did get some phone calls about that too, with concerns from retailers.
From one end.
I got concerns
About
from
parking
retailers.
and stuff. I know
Because we've looked at that before. We
Yeah, I
have
was
looked
gonna
at
say,
changing that. We would lose so many parking
the
places.
parallel
We
thing
don't
has
wanna do
been,
that.
the whole downtown parking thing's been brought up for years. You
Yeah.
know, it's always, everybody has an idea on it, and I don't know that there's a right
Keep
way
doing
or a
what
wrong
we're
way.
doing.
All I
It's
know
gonna
is
stay
that,
that way. We gotta do something. We
Well, I
can't
know.
not act.
this application would not, it's not gonna make you all do parallel parking.
Yeah, it's
I know.
not.
No, I'm not
yeah.
saying
To have
that.
somebody come in and actually analyze downtown.
And I'm all for it. I'd love to see the facade grant. I've had comments from clients that have not been in Carthage in several years talking about how great it is. Now we need to keep going with it.
Yeah,
I'm all for it.
Yeah, and it's also creating a community that is a street community, not a road. It used to be a road, it's a street though. Street is pedestrian friendly. It's a little bit slower. It's getting more foot traffic. It's more family friendly, more families safe, and that's what we want. That's the goal. I know everybody, however we get there, we might have different ways of getting there, but everybody wants that.
I think we maybe, seems like the sidewalks are more the issue. Sidewalks and crosswalks are more the issue than anything. And $80,000 isn't really gonna go, if we get it, if we get the 80,000, we may not get that at all, but I mean, even $80,000 isn't gonna go really far on changing parking, but it could add updated crosswalks with, you know, new signs, you know, down, maybe we should look more, not at a playground, but maybe just at crosswalks and sidewalks.
And also too, it's kind of like let's say we get the grant and we get the engineering, and the engineering says this is what we could do here. That opens us to make us more eligible for other grants. Am I correct on that? That would pay for the actual work. And it's just a stepping stone to get to where we want to go, instead of us throwing in the towel like, well, no one will ever do this or no one will ever do that. Well, no one will do it if we don't try. So we got to try. We got to do something. We can't
Plus,
just
we got free $50,000 of engineering, so we need to use it.
I would just think, to me, sidewalks would be more.
I mean,
what I would focus on that, if y'all are asking, you know.
Do we want to spend it on engineering? We've got some great downtown things going on. We've made a lot of progress down there. Or
Well,
do we want to spend it on something?
I'm not even
like
talking
you're
about
saying?
sidewalks necessarily downtown. I
You're
mean,
saying
like, there needs to be one up College Avenue. There's been one need to be up College Avenue since I was little, you know?
Well, I'd say this, and I'd say sidewalks, so let's narrow it down. Let's say sidewalks, and I'd say that downtown area, more pedestrian friendly, and then the other place that does need sidewalks is down there by the park, across, because if we're gonna have that developed down there, and we're gonna have kids going back and forth, that needs to be safe for kids.
And we have talked about doing that.
And
already.
so, we could put technically both of those two planned areas in this scope and just focus on just sidewalks and crosswalks. I think that would be a good compromise here for everybody.
If we're gonna do sidewalks, I've had a jillion citizens say, please fix our sidewalks all across our city and not just downtown.
Again, what I'm looking at is I'm looking at an area where we can increase revenue so we can actually pay to fix these sidewalks everywhere.
How, explain, because I don't know, where are you talking about repairing sidewalks downtown?
I'm talking about down, basically, you're looking about from the walking area, from about the bridge, you got businesses down there, all the way to Fight, a little bit after Fight, you've got a couple new businesses there. You've got some areas that are pedestrian, you're getting heavy pedestrian traffic after hours, heavy. People are walking around down there, people have kids, people have families, and there's cars zooming back and forth. During the day too, it's even more dangerous. It is very dangerous because that is our most heavily congested traffic area.
To add a sidewalk in here, is that what you're saying?
I'm not asking for anything, but that we look at someone who's an expert in sidewalks, come in and look at our sidewalks, because I'm not an expert. I'm just an expert in almost getting ran over every day.
We're way off track with this.
Can I say something about the sidewalks? You know, Matt brought this up, and I brought it up before. You know, there's a lot of kids, I noticed during homecoming the other day. I mean, we're walking down that street.
You live
We're gonna
down
get run over one of these days, somebody's gonna get hurt.
You're talking about
I mean,
college.
it needs a sidewalk desperately down through there.
It's
I mean,
college, are you talking about?
Talking about between the elementary school and the high school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
We
and
brought that up
also,
before too, and I like that idea.
they go downtown. They visit the museum, the kids do. They need a safe walkway to go down there. I think sometimes we concentrate so much on downtown and not enough about our whole city. And that's what I'm here for.
Yeah.
So maybe name some
I mean,
specific crosswalks, is that what you're
Well,
saying?
our downtown, but no one's been focusing on our downtown for several years.
I think like we've kind of gone way past what we, you know, I think we just need to say like sidewalk improvements.
You could, I mean, if you're wanting to look at the whole downtown, you could do a pedestrian plan that includes, you know, it would start centrally at the square and move out as far as where they'll do an inventory of sidewalks and see what's there, where there are gaps, where ADA compliance should come in, where crosswalks should be in downtown or at the parks or at.
I'm sorry, who is this again? Is it TDOT you're talking about?
No, this is through the Tennessee Department of Health.
Okay, because we do have an application in through TDOT to look at this cross-section down here to finally get some lighting on it, so that wouldn't influence that at all, would it?
That's its own construction project, and it's gonna be TDOT mandated on a state route.
Okay.
If you're looking at local streets,
Okay.
if all you wanna do is apply for this grant to do a plan for $50,000, you can have a consultant come in and look at whether you want it to be the downtown, or you want it to be all of city limits and just sidewalks and crosswalks. You call it a walkability plan or a pedestrian plan. That's all that would be, is you create what you want it to be as far as a plan goes, is what you wanna look at. If you wanna include parking, you can. If you just wanna say pedestrian and it's crosswalks and sidewalks, that's fine.
And Jenny, if I understand correctly, or it's my thinking that this engineer could come in and could look at the program, what Bill's talking about, the sidewalk from the elementary school, could look at the downtown crosswalks and possibly tell us the most feasible things to do.
Yes.
So it sounds like we're kind of mostly leaning towards putting it in as sidewalks, the grant for sidewalks, for the engineering to look at sidewalks.
I can send you all the plan that was done with this same grant 2 years ago in the city of Salina, if you'd like. And it's more than just the downtown, and it goes out into some of the residential areas, and you can see what that finished product looked like. And if that's something y'all are interested in, I don't know if you want to do another meeting like Cole was saying, or.
Is there a way we can get citizens' input? Because I like everybody here, citizens all over town have said, we need help in our neighborhood, or we need help in the park, like Barbara's saying. Would it be a
And we
good
need help
idea?
downtown, don't forget
Would it
about
be a
those
good idea to
citizens.
get some citizens' input for this, and business people's input downtown, just to see? We're just really pushing, like Bill said, it's really pushing close to.
This grant came out last week, and it's, the intent to apply is due to October 29th. So, I mean, that's just the timeline that was given to us. But you're welcome to do a public hearing if that is what you want to do.
I'm just saying, or wait till we can get some input from people around town. I mean,
I think the consensus is at least we all want to do sidewalks. We're not in agreement where we want to do sidewalks, but at least we can apply and say we want to do sidewalks. Is that fair?
I think it is.
Okay.
I don't understand what needs to be done to the downtown sidewalks. They look great to me. Of course, I'm not, I mean, I'm there. I
Well,
walk
where
them
you
every
park,
day,
that sidewalk
and they
right
look
there.
great to me.
I'll go ahead, if you're gonna ask that. Where you park every morning, that sidewalk right there is about, not even as wide as this table here. And then all the parking parts that come up to there, we're waiting on a lawsuit on that, people tripping over there. That's gotta be fixed off the bat. Tripping over those bumpers that people pick the tires up against, that sidewalk doesn't match. You got an 8-foot sidewalk, 2.5-foot sidewalk, a 7-foot sidewalk, a 10-foot sidewalk. You don't even have handicap accessible areas on the sidewalk on the other side of 3rd Avenue West. I mean, there's all kinds of issues. And I don't know how many times you cross on the street every day, but I cross it several times so do other people. And I can source the people that I've met with. I'll give you a whole list of names. I'll give you 5 dozen names right now if you'd like to. I'm not gonna hide behind it. Yeah. I'm just saying, like, it is a need that's happening. It's not an opinion of just mine. It's not an opinion of anybody's. It's something that needs to happen. And the reason I'm focusing on downtown is because you have revenue coming in from downtown. I'm just not trying to put the cart before the horse, because we do need this sidewalk done over here. If I could finish, Mayor, we do need the sidewalk done over here. But what I'm trying to do is try to put a plan together where we can have continual revenue coming in instead of just a little bit here and we beg for it and we fix one little area here.
You're saying sidewalks would build revenue?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We've been reminded, we do have to have some kind of motion and second, even to be discussing all this, because it's not even.
My motion, we apply for this, or we would go ahead
Excuse me,
and
Mr.
submit.
Oh, no, I think that addresses it, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Make a motion.
I motion that we submit a letter of intent by October 29th for a overall sidewalk plan somewhere in Carthage. Those details to be TBD. That'd be my motion. Second.
Is there any discussion, further discussion on this? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Do we need, how many did we get?
You want to do a roll call?
Yeah, let's do a roll call. I think like that.
Vice Mayor Wright,
Yes.
Councilwoman Knappel,
I think I'm gonna abstain.
Councilwoman Scott,
Yes.
Councilman Eagle,
Yes.
Councilman Petty,
Yes.
Councilman Reese.
Yes.
Okay, so the motion passes that we will, Virginia, are you going to write this letter of intent? Okay. And it will be for overall state of sidewalks, is what I understand.
I'll do that, and I can send you all a draft to review if you're comfortable with that.
All right, thank
Great.
you. Thank you, all righty. The next grant report, this was going to be our engineer, Stephen Jones, and he couldn't be here tonight, but so basically just the update, Future Alley water line, that has been sent down. It's in the process with the state revolving fund loan, of whether they're gonna grant us money. We've applied for it, so we're still waiting for them to go through all the hoops. And I mentioned about the sewer I-9 project, which was sit down yesterday. Well, now just to see who will be accepted for that. So we're kind of in the waiting game for both of those. Turkey Creek water tank or water pumps. Okay, now, as Rusty knows, we have this grant with ARC that's still hanging out there that was for the water tank. We found out that the estimate that was given us by the last engineer was way below what reality is on that. It was, the low bid we came in was 300-something thousand, up closer to 400,000. Of course, y'all rejected that. So at this point, we have to determine whether we're going to let go of that ARC loan, because they won't change the scope of these loans. And this is the thing we're finding. The loan was for the water tank. So we'll have to reapply for a different loan for the water pump system. Is everybody kind of following that? So what we'll need to do first is to vote to reject the original ARC loan. Now, please keep in mind, that was a 50-50 loan, or grant, I'm sorry. Whatever 50% went to our former engineer and our former grant writer, we have to make that up, because now ARC is not going to pay that 50. So it comes out to, I don't have those exact numbers, but it's a good little chunk of money that we'll owe the former engineer for that half that ARC.
Can you get those numbers before we vote on this?
Or at least give us a ballpark figure.
Well, I think it was about 12,000, I think. Rusty, was that it? About 12.
Yeah, I thought we had spent in the neighborhood of 25,000 and half it was 50-50, so we probably owe 12,500 back.
Yeah, I think that was what it was.
And the reason for giving back the ARC grant is why?
Well, that was for that water tank, and the lowest bid that our former engineer gave us an estimate of 200, was it 220 something, Rusty? 207?
Yeah.
Something like that.
The original was just a little over 200.
Yeah.
205, I think.
And when we started bidding it out, they hadn't included several things in there that upped the price of it, and our low bid was the high 300,000, so that's why we rejected that bid.
I kind of have a concern. I know it's, I guess you'd say, water under the bridge now, but
No pun intended.
really, do we have any recourse in that both that and apparently the walking track, the engineer has grossly underestimated this, and now we're having to turn around and pay him more?
Yeah.
Does that, do we have any recourse?
It's possible. I need to look specifically on this project as to exactly why the bids came in so much higher than what was originally projected. But again, considering this is money that now the town's gonna have to pay without being able to get reimbursed for that share of it, it's something to look at for that amount of money, I think.
It just, and if I'm not, I know it's slightly getting into a different, change of subject, but we were how far off on the walking track? From what he proposed, what he engineered, and what it was gonna cost to do it?
It was quite a bit of, well, I mean, it was at least 30,000, maybe higher than that. Yeah.
I would have stayed in business looking at matter
Well, and
decisions.
added to that, of course, a $500,000 loan that we'll never get back because it's a water tank. place that we don't even use it at the water plant, so, for the equipment, so.
We do use it.
Well,
We
yeah.
do use it, we just, in 3 years, I've removed 20 gallons of
Yeah.
grit in 3 years.
So,
That's a lot.
yeah, I guess
Yeah.
we've, lesson learned, we've moved on to other engineers, so, so that's what we, since we've already rejected the bid, if we rebid it, we're still gonna come out close to that again, because that was the low bid that we got.
What do you see, like, what's your plan with it? What do you see as, how are we gonna fix this? Like, what's your recommendation?
Well, they have, the whole department feels like we need to go with the water pumps.
Okay.
And they've already put some money aside to help with that, I believe. Don't we have some already aside?
Yeah, I budgeted, and y'all approved $80,000.
Right, so we've got that much already in the budget
For
toward it.
booster pump upgrades this year, which will be a part of that.
And UCDD will apply for another grant to cover whatever else we need in that.
So
But
we can back out on this, pay them off 20 or 12 or whatever, and then we're out of it, and
yeah,
we're
that's
golden.
about the only choice we have at this point.
All right.
Who is asking for action by the town to back out of this grant? What, I don't know where that's coming from.
Oh, the grant, that's what our grant writer basically said. Well, we can't change, this grant will not cover the water pumps.
Right, and I understand with that, it's not gonna cover the new project, but this action that I guess you're asking the council to take, I'm not sure where that is coming from.
That's the grant writer at UCDD said we still have that grant hanging on out there. Do we want it or not? I mean, we can't use it.
Did they ask for the council to vote to terminate that grant? Or why does the town have to take any other action other than just moving forward with the new project?
Well, because that grant has paid half of what we owed them, so they're gonna eventually say, can we have our money back, I guess, if we don't do that grant. So it was a 50-50 match.
And so that is my question,
Yeah.
is who is asking for their money back and when, and
It's the
what
ARC
does this vote
It's an
have
ARC,
to do?
it's an Appalachian Regional whatever grant.
I can't advise the council as to whether to take this action without knowing,
Okay.
where this request is coming from and how it might impact the town's obligation to pay this
Okay.
back or not.
Virginia, do you have any light on that?
I'm not familiar with all the details of that project, so I know probably.
I would just suggest we table this
Okay, we
until
can
we
table.
have something to kind of
Okay.
look at before we take a vote on something that I don't really know what the effective would be.
So then we
How do
should,
we go about getting the information that we need for, say, the next meeting? Any ideas?
Do you have any communication from the grant writer that
yeah,
is
oh
asking for
yeah, I
this?
talked to him yesterday.
Okay, so
Yeah.
maybe present that to the council next meeting and we can look at it and see what exactly they need from the town at this point.
Okay. That'd be great. In fact, maybe he can be your next meeting tonight, so. But in moving forward, we do need to decide if we're gonna apply for, let UCD apply, the same people apply for another grant to cover the water pump system. And as Derek said, we already have about 80,000 we budgeted in the system this year, fiscal year. Rusty, we've got somewhere around, do you think it's 140,000?
I don't, the engineer did.
Okay, it would be, I mean, if we even got a grant, 50-50 grant for that, it's less than what we were talking about the other way. That's kind of what y'all want, I mean, that's the consensus I'm getting from y'all, is we need to go with the water pumps, right?
Oh, yeah, I think that's the way to go, definitely. How we pay for it, or how we go about approaching it,
Yeah.
maybe should be up for debate a little bit, but.
Well, he has said he will apply for, go back and apply, even if it's an ARC grant, to reapply for another grant for that scope. So I guess at this point, it's okay with y'all, we'll just let them go ahead and see if they can find a grant that would help match some of the funds we need for this water pump system. And then we'll table the grant that we have now with ARC and see if he can come next time and explain to us more about that. Okay? So can I get your blessings to say, let's go ahead and let them at least see if they can find another grant that would cover the water pump system?
I'm all for it.
Okay. I don't know that it has to be a formal vote, but you didn't know. Okay, so we'll ask Mr. Lee to go ahead and apply for that again. Thank you.
Mayor Smith, the only thing I didn't see on the grant reports, last time we talked about park grant, there was gonna be a study on that. Do we have an update on that? Because I know we were trying to get updates every month on the way things were going.
I'm sorry.
There was a study on the park grant that we had going on. They had to do a study on it, remember?
Are you talking about the analysis?
Yes.
There's not been an update yet.
There's no update on that, okay.
We have submitted this stuff. They're not sure that,
You're talking about FEMA, is that?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, right,
Yeah.
right.
yeah.
Okay.
We have submitted.
There's
this
just no
stuff.
update right
There's
now.
no.
Okay, gotcha, thank you.
The engineer has gone through all the hoops that they asked him, he's resubmitted everything. Hopefully soon, that, Dr. Duke, do you know any more about that than we do?
No, we went over everything, went over it with her, and from my standpoint, it looks like everything is intact. It's, the floodplain administrator sent it to Ms. Amy Miller, who's with the
TEMA.
Yeah, TEMA,
Yeah.
and she, because we're not in the good graces of TEMA, she wanted everything sent to her to look at before it actually got approved through our floodplain administrator. But I think we've got everything intact. Now, when I say we were not in good graces with TEMA, that had nothing to do with what we're doing now.
Right.
It just made them look at what we're doing now. It's what had been done so many times before.
We
That
had
was
failed to
wrong.
get the permits from TEMA in the past, apparently, that were needed, so.
I think this is gonna be okay. I think
Yeah.
we're gonna have approval on this one.
Okay, yeah, I feel so too. So hopefully soon we'll be able to start doing whatever needs to do out there at the park. Okay, now we're in unfinished business. Okay, yes, the Firewall Bay Extension, remember, Mr. Evan White is the one that y'all selected to do that, and we had to do a contract with him. Did we all get a copy of that?
There should be one. It was numbered.
Okay. Mr. Moore, you're okay with that?
I am,
Oh, it's
yes.
a resolution that we have.
Right. This is just to approve the engineering contract for the fire hall expansion. And I did review the contract, and
Okay.
we made a couple changes, but it's good now.
So it's in your packet. It would be resolution CR 20201001. And it's just to accept his contract, that I can sign the contract and we can move forward with, then he would design and bring to us he'd bring to the planning commission first, the design he's putting together for the Firewall Bay Extension. So can I get a motion to accept this, to move forward with this contract?
I'll motion.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion on that? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so we will let him go ahead and I'll sign the contract so you can go ahead and do the design on that. Thank you. As I mentioned, the bill for the ladder truck, we don't have that right now because it's in New Jersey being repaired. It doesn't know specifically, but it will be somewhere around $5,000. And we approved him to go ahead and start the motion getting it fixed. The holiday pay resolution has to, unfortunately, our personnel policy as an ordinance, you explained it, Mr. Moore, so.
Yeah,
and we're
I was
gonna
under
table.
the impression that the personnel policy had been adopted by resolution and therefore could be amended by resolution. But after last month's meeting, the mayor sent me a copy of the ordinance. And so it now needs to be done by ordinance, which of course requires 2 readings. Conversations with the mayor, I think she talked to the supervisors and Chief Davis in particular, and have just decided to table this, or requesting that this be tabled for first reading until next month's meeting.
Or two, yeah, at least next month's meeting, so if we will, do we need to make a motion to do that?
Yes,
Okay.
it's on the agenda.
Could I have a motion to table this to next month's meeting, or whenever this is ready?
Motion tabled.
Okay, all right, any discussion on that? Okay, that will be tabled. Thank you. The tax appraiser fee update, I think you got the letter from the office to explain it.
Yeah, I'm glad to, I wanted to give you all a copy of the letter that I had drafted to go to Mr. Collins. This came out as a result of conversation or Zoom meeting that the mayor and I had with the mayor of South Carthage and their council. Basically, this is based upon the property assessor's own line item for reappraisal cost and calculated on a per parcel basis. It represents annually $1.28 per parcel. Therefore, the Carthage's share would be $857.60. So this would be, if they were to accept this proposal, this would still come back to you for final approval of a settlement agreement. The idea being that this amount would stay in place. The town would pay this to the county assessor on an annual basis for the next 10 years. And then we'd have to work out a new agreement after that. Have no idea whether it will be accepted, not optimistic based on my initial conversation with their office, but it's based upon their own numbers, so that's what we're suggesting. The town of South Carthage has also said that they would, again, subject to their final vote of their council, but they've allowed us to say that they were going in with this proposal.
So do we need to just, anything?
I don't need any action unless somebody wants to.
What do you feel this is fair in your opinion?
Again, it's based on the only information we have from the assessor's office as to what their reappraisal costs are, and that's what the town is obligated to pay. So I think that's the only place we can really start from.
And we're talking about $857 a year.
For 10 years.
Correct.
Yeah. Well, compared to several thousand they were talking about originally, so was it 17,000 or half of that? I don't know. Do y'all have any thoughts about it? It's much better than we started out, I'll tell you, because what was it, 17 something around?
I think so, yes. I mean, it was basically, instead of this share, it was the same proportion of their entire $200,000 budget, so.
So it was quite a bit more, and he's broken it down to just the appraisal portion of it, not their whole total overall budget. I'm okay with it going forward.
About 50%, 49% less, 51% less, sorry.
I'm sorry?
It's about 51% less of that original number, that 17 number, so, I mean, it sounds like they're trying to meet us halfway.
Yeah, so I would just say we'll see if we have a response back from them, then I'll bring it to you.
Okay.
Okay. Is it right? Okay, good. All righty. Let's, then we have two gentlemen who are both qualified as far as TOSHA standards, and we have, they're both here tonight. I think you've seen their resumes as far as being the local director. What we kind of do, if this is okay with y'all, we'll let them, if you have any questions for either one, and I'll kind of talk to the supervisors who will be basically, this will apply to, because they're the ones who will be overseeing by whoever the TOSHA person is. So since we have two very qualified people, their thinking is let's vote for one for director and one for assistant director. And there's actually two ballots here. It would be secret. Can we do this? We can't do this secret ballot. Okay.
You can do a secret, not a secret, you can't call a secret ballot. You can do a ballot where we all write and don't vote together, but they have to be read off afterwards of who voted what.
It does, yeah, again, I can't recall whether the policy it said that it had to be approved by resolution or by motion of the board. Regardless, even if you did it in writing, it's still going to be a public record.
Okay.
Yeah, it still has to be a public record.
It doesn't even say the board has to do it. It's just the supervisor of the public works department. And if he can't do it, then someone else.
Yeah, my recollection was that the resolution actually named who that person was in it, but we didn't do that separately. I think the supervisor was the default unless you name another person as that in that role, which was not done.
so nobody approves this. If they wanted it.
Someone make a motion.
They would like it.
I
My
do have
hearing
a
is they
question
would like a
though.
director and assistant director. If y'all want to make a motion to that effect, however you would like to do it,
Last meeting, you had said it doesn't come with a pay raise. Does it or does it not come with a
but
pay
this
raise?
has never been a paid position,
No, I mean, does it come with, I didn't ask if it was a pay
no.
position,
No,
does it
no,
come
it
with a pay
doesn't.
raise?
No.
Okay,
There's no-
because it had like, it had under our new, on the new business, it said, it was talking about appointing, Tim, and it had $19.50 an hour on it beside it, so that's why I'm curious about it.
You're talking about in your first. Okay. That was something he threw out, so I.
Well,
but
you
then-
came from your office.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. Since then, we've been asked to go back and select someone, so that's kind of where we are at this point. Where the, I mean,
But, so there's no pay increase that comes with this position?
unless we vote for one.
It's just a position that's going to take care of this, but there's no pay raise. Okay, I just want to make sure that's clear.
Unless, I
Wrong.
mean, if everybody's on board with that, so.
And I think that down the road, when we write some personnel policies, I think, people that have different qualifications probably deserve a little bit more here and there. I don't think we necessarily need to vote on that tonight, but that's something to keep in mind.
Okay. So, all of that said, if we could vote for a director and assistant director, however you choose to do that, but that's kind of what I'm hearing, because both of these gentlemen are highly qualified. And in this ordinance, or resolution, or I guess it's an ordinance, there is language in it that says if a disaster of some kind happens, somebody has to be able within 8 hours to take all the paperwork and everything. So if one person happens to be out of town, we have to have a backup for this. We can't just leave it till that person can come back from Gatlinburg or wherever they are. So we really need both, very honestly. So if we could, and my original thought, I would love to see both of them just work together as co-directors, but if we want an assistant, and however you would like to do it. But we do this every 7 years, so we won't have to do this again and then. I mean, I'm talking about the ordinance itself. We can hire, we can change directors around if you want, but, so would you, let me hear this from y'all. Would you like a director, assistant director, co-directors?
Do we have a, I don't know that we have necessarily been given I don't know if you call it job description or whatever, a definition of what this position actually is.
It's actually in that ordinance that we don't have a copy, but it
Oh,
tells what they need to do, yeah. It's in the ordinance that you got last meeting. I don't know that we have a copy of this.
Oh.
But it's, there's a pretty lengthy description of what they have to be able to do.
Is there somebody doing this now? Who's doing this now?
Tim's doing this now, yes. Tim, you want to tell a little, I tell you what, just Tim, tell us a little bit about what you're doing now with the job, and then Jesse is also someone who's qualified, so let's just hear from both of you, if you don't mind.
Oh, let me get these creeks out.
Okay.
Sorry about that, guys. Basically, the safety director handles any paperwork that comes down the line, any safety issues that comes up, works with the supervisors on their inspections to handle the abatements, and do any corrections that needs to be done with their updates and current policies. As of today, we're in pretty good shape. We also are required to occasionally go over videos and teach classes, and that's something we've been doing. It's been lacking lately because this has been up to question, but we're doing pretty well on it, and we talked to the supervisors about that too. They're well aware of it. If you've got any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but this would mostly apply to public works, to water plant, sewer plant, where they're more likely to be at risk for accidents.
Not too long ago with one of his abatements.
Okay, right. Anything else about yourself or the job that you want to share, and then we'll have Jesse talk a little bit too.
It's pretty much in the resume. We've covered a lot since I was first appointed.
No.
It was co-supervisor when when Mr. Massey left, between Les and myself. And I got water and safety director, unless what you get, street and sewer. Is that what they did?
I think he's in there.
Anyway, that's the way that came down, and I guess because of health issues with my family, it's decided that I was going to be demoted, and I was still handling the safety director's position. Because like I say, it's a job without pay, and it's no thanks, but it's aggravating sometimes.
Okay. A lot of paperwork, it sounds like.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Thank you. Well, can we hear from both of them, and then maybe if you have questions?
It's gonna be the same question for both of them. Are you OSHA certified currently?
OSHA certified? No, sir, currently I am not.
Okay, and then how long have you been, the OSHA supervisor?
Since Charles left.
Okay, since 2015, okay.
Now, is it technically OSHA or TOSHA here? Which one?
OSHA is TOSHA. That's Tennessee's branch.
Right, but I mean, theoretically, that you're the TOSHA.
As far as being certified for it, there is no certification for that position. But they do require training and classes.
Okay.
Is there, have you been to the training and classes for it?
I've got it listed as,
Okay.
some seminars, some in-class trainings,
Okay,
video
got it.
trainings, it's all there.
Okay, sorry, thank you.
All right, thank
Quite a
you.
few of them.
And Jesse Crawford is the gentleman here. You want to stand and tell us a little bit about your experience?
I've done the OSHA stuff with Connell for several years. It's like Tim said, it's pretty cutthroat. You go by your guidelines and do as you're supposed to do. You work with your supervisors. If you have any issues, work with HR. I've had the OSHA training, extensive training in OSHA through Bonnell. That's about it. If you have questions.
Is there some part of the job that was challenging more than others? Things that you bring in your background that might be different?
The hardest part is if someone gets hurt. There's more paperwork with someone getting hurt than there is anything. But, other than that, if you go by your guidelines, it's not that in detail.
Did you ever have to deal with that when you were at Bonnell?
Yes, sir. I had one cut his thumb off. It was aggravating.
How many years were you supervising Bonnell at OSHA, sir?
Supervisor, I think it was 3 to 5 years. I can't remember.
I've got this stuff. I put it in y'all's packets, but I can pass this around too. This is our Jesse stuff. I didn't make copies because there's a lot. You guys want to look at those? Tim luckily had brought his copies, so. But that's training logs and different.
And how long were you TOSHA there? TOSHA or OSHA?
For 15 years. We had to do OSHA training every day.
There's no certification, it's just training.
You have to do the 10-hour OSHA training.
Gotcha.
Are there any other questions for either gentleman? Again, if y'all are okay, one is director, one assistant director, because we do have to have someone who's available if there's an emergency and the other person isn't here. How we go about doing that, I don't know, you have a suggestion? I had some of these things, but if you can't do that,
Again, I would suggest someone just make a motion to appoint, and if you, unless somebody wants to make a motion for a special procedure to make the appointment.
do I hear a motion one way or the other from anyone to appoint a special procedure?
I would like the idea of a director and a co-director.
Okay.
So I would make a motion that Mr. Aldridge, since he's been doing this, be the director and Mr. Crawford be the co-director.
Okay. Do I have a second to that motion?
Second.
Okay, any discussion on that?
I think everyone needs to see these records before
Okay,
we
go,
finish the
let's
vote.
take some time then. So we'll pass that around. You have, I think, information about both people, and this is the other going around.
I'm curious, I've got, on Mr. Aldridge, I've got two resumes.
Well, kept trying to update it. It's been one of those days, anything that can go wrong, helps.
So we've got this package for Mr. Aldridge, and then this packet is coming around from Mr. Crawford.
Well, I think what Sam's saying is, we sent that out in the package, and we sent the other one, emailed the first one today. So,
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't get, I guess Mr. Aldridge's till today, and it was late in the day. And I apologize, but I didn't get in from work till late and had to run through it, so I've just
Well,
noticed.
let me ask you, do you want to have more time to do this and table it to next month? Would you prefer that? I mean, we can do that.
We got a motion in a second.
Yeah.
We can withdraw that if we need to.
No, I'm fine with it.
I'm fine with it? Okay. Okay, so we have a motion, we'll have discussion as soon as y'all have had a chance to look at everything.
I think both these candidates are very qualified, extremely qualified. My issue is the way this was done, which is why that's on the agenda about policy regarding hiring, because from what I've heard, it was almost like we had one person pre-selected, and then we had to have a formality about it, and then we had another person that was interested in it, that wasn't invited to the selection. And so I just think it's only.
We didn't know about this person until after that. After we had the meeting, the initial meeting where we only thought Tim was the only person qualified.
Which is why I have an issue with it as far as that goes, just because how come that wasn't put out to everybody?
Should have been posted.
It should have been posted as a position, because
well,
if I'm working in a job, I'm looking to advance, and I want to find ways to advance. And then if I come up one day and I'm like, oh, city council said so-and-so is advancing, I didn't get a shot. Now, we may all vote tonight that same person goes, but the fact that I think there needs to be a fair shot for anyone who goes in for a position.
Just to clarify, this isn't a position. We're not hiring someone.
It is a position.
Well, no, we're appointing someone within the Public Works Department, because the ordinance says either it's the Public Works Director or someone else appointed. So that's what if you read the ordinance, so it's not a new position, it's not a job we're hiring, it's an appointment within the Public Works Department.
That being said, we can, semantics on it, but it's obviously a very important position to both these individuals that we shouldn't play semantics
And
with
as soon as we found out, after that initial meeting, that we had someone else who had this training, then we opened it up to both of them.
But if we had it posted to start with, we wouldn't have wasted a month, gone through this.
Well, again, it's not a job. It's something either the Public Works Director does or someone else from Public Works is appointed to it.
Jobs or whatever, I'm just asking that in the city, if there's something that's available, let's give our employees an opportunity to excel and do something they might be passionate about and open it for everybody. I think both these gentlemen are extremely qualified. I like the idea of having someone as supervisor and someone there on vacation, someone else coming in afterwards. But that being said, it needs to be open. It needs to be transparent. There doesn't need to be any there doesn't need to be having backroom meetings or anything like that.
It was just to clarify, because this is getting a little out of hand here. Everybody knew this.
It's not getting out of hand. We're discussing.
I'm just saying, we had already talked about it in Public Works. Everybody in Public Works knew about this, and that's when we found out that Mr. Crawford is also qualified. And once we found that out, we sat down and said, well, would you like to be co-directors? And we kind of thought that was what they wanted to do, but then we brought it to the council. So I'm just saying, every step was taken along the way with this.
Mr. Crawford, were you aware that this position was open when it first came open?
No.
No one alerted you? Okay, that's all.
Well, because the position was being filled by someone already. I mean, it wasn't.
The first time I heard about it was when it was wrote up to Tim as getting the position.
And also, it makes it seem like Tim's the bad guy here too, and I don't want to make Tim the bad guy at all, because it's not. I don't think Tim went out to try to do this to undercut Jesse at all. I don't think that's happening either. What I'm saying is, that's why we have that. That's why we should have that procedure, so it doesn't look bad on one or the other, because they're both great employees. I like them both. This is going to be a hard vote, but that needs to be there so that we don't have this underlying tension.
Okay, would the Public Works please make note that if we ever have anything else like this that has to be filled, we will post it on the Public Works bulletin board, if you don't mind. We'll do that. We'll certainly do that. Because it has to be someone within Public Works, and that's 7 men. So, and that, if I had known Mr. Crawford was qualified up front, we certainly would have handled that. As soon as we found out he was qualified, we all sat down and talked about it. So it's not like there was some conspiracy going on in this. For all we knew, Mr.
Did you have an individual meeting with Mr. Crawford?
Yeah, we talked.
Individually?
After the fact, yeah.
It was an individual meeting?
After we found out Tim was.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Right, we had several meetings actually. So I think they're both wonderful gentlemen. I would love to make them co-directors, but if we want a director and assistant, that's just fine, no problem. But
So we got a motion and a second.
We do need to do something. So has everybody had a chance to read this before we discuss this? Okay. Is there any discussion or are there any further questions for either gentleman here? I mean, the motion right now is Mr. Aldridge as director, Mr. Crawford as co-director, assistant director. We can vote on that. Either way y'all want it is fine. I mean, so theoretically, we probably should have just let the Public Works director appoint somebody, and we wouldn't have had to go through all of this, but here we are, so. All right. If there's no further discussion, can we take a vote on the motion that, right now the motion is Mr. Aldridge as director, Mr. Crawford as co-director?
Assistant director.
Excuse me, assistant director, yes. Do we need to take a roll call?
We can do a voice vote, unless somebody wants to make a motion for a roll call.
How would you like?
Make a motion for a roll call.
Okay. Does that have to have a second?
Second.
Okay, second, all right. No discussion on that, though. All right, let's have a roll call vote, please.
Okay, Vice Mayor Watts?
Yes.
Councilwoman Knappel?
Yes.
Councilwoman Scott?
Yes.
Councilman Evil?
No.
Councilman Petty?
Abstain.
Councilman Reese?
Yes.
Okay, so we have, what's the number?
4 yes, 1 abstain, 1 no.
Okay, so that motion carries. And both gentlemen are wonderful. They're both, I'm hoping that we'll just all work together well on this. So thank you both very much. All righty.
I just,
Yes.
I don't know if it needs to be in unfinished business or new business. I didn't read through Chief Hyatt's memo deep enough. Can I bring up a couple things about it just real quick?
Sure.
I don't know if it's too late. If not, we can put it off, but was in there. It's regarding engine 5 and then the bays. Engine 5 is basically worthless, not even worth the metal it's sitting on. And we did approve the $150,000 for a new truck. And he's asking that we just grant him the ability to spend up to that amount to go purchase a newer truck.
I need my engine book in front of me. Which one is it? I'm trying to remember.
Engine 5's the GMC that's never down there. It's at the old rescue squad building.
Gotcha.
Like, you never see it, because it
Okay.
doesn't really run.
Now, do we need to, and I hate to do this that in here, do we need to decommission that first before we commission another one, or do we need to get another one and then decommission that?
Well, I think it's, the way it
No.
failed pump
No.
test, so.
Derek, I think he's saying no.
No, you don't have to decommission it before you buy another one.
Okay, okay, gotcha. So we would want to try to sell it or something, right?
Yeah, but I mean, it's not gonna, professional. I don't, you might get, Sam might give you $500 for it if you're lucky, right? But,
Man, I feel like you could get more for that.
but I'm just saying, you know, like, we did approve him to spend up, you know, up to $150,000 to get it. And without that truck, it will lower it will mess with our ISO rating, so.
We do have a ISO auditor coming in on October the 12th, and as it sits right now, with the ladder truck in the shop and engine 5 not passing pump test, we cannot meet pump capacity.
Right.
This will need, I don't know what his plan is for buying it, I mean, but we'll need to identify the vehicle and the price and how it was bid, or whether it was acquired from another source, and then bring that back to you for.
I would give him the authority to spend up to the hundred, like, find us some trucks for up to that or something, and then, cause I know he'll probably go like in what, like GovBid or something, maybe, or.
Yeah, there's several websites or dealerships, I know, like Brindley Mountain and stuff like that. So
Would we
there's
have to
several
do a
ways.
bid process?
Matt, why don't we just tell him to start looking for it, bring it to us next council meeting, what he's found, and then we can vote on it there. and just be
So
done.
would he put it out to bid, is that what you're saying?
Well, it depends on, there are some other options that you can go through that don't require the bidding process, but I don't know what he has in mind for how to do that. But either way, it'll need to come back, and we'll need to make sure it complied with that. But I don't know if from his memo if he's just asking for the authority to move forward with that, which I think that may be how we would take it.
I think we did give him the authority at least to start looking.
Oh, yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
to make, but, I don't know how we need to proceed on that. Do I need to make a motion for that, or?
Just go ahead,
Yes.
just to make it clear.
Yeah.
I'd like to make a motion that we give Chief Hyatt the authority to start looking for a new truck up to $150,000.
Okay. Any further discussion on that? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so we'll let him know to
Okay.
start.
And then, the one other thing in here, he said about the door for the additional base to make it a 14-foot tall door. I don't know how far we are in on that process.
Well, we're not even in the design yet. so-
Okay.
Yeah, so we can
All right.
let the engineer know this. We
Okay.
just approved his contract tonight to go forward.
Okay, well, maybe just put that in his,
So 14.
whatever, so.
I can imagine it being a big difference.
You wouldn't think so. I mean, he says, he just asks for one, but it may not be bad just to do all three of them 14 foot. I mean, we're doing it, might as well just
Yeah.
overdo it to begin with, so.
It should be, I can imagine it a big difference, so I'd say do them all.
Yeah.
So I got a question for City Attorney Moore. We've got 3 unfinished items that the council asked to be put on this meeting that weren't put on here last meeting. Last meeting, we kind of, remember saying we kind of we want to get an update on these things. And they're not on here. Can we discuss, it should be under unfinished business. What do we do about that?
Yeah, I would suggest to make a motion that we add that to the agenda for discussion, or all three of them if you want to make it in one motion.
What are the three?
Okay, the first one is, I'd like to add the trash issue. Let's talk about that real quick. That was supposed to be on here. We're supposed to finish that. We had a whole 30-minute discussion on it at the planning commission, and it's not on our agenda, and it was supposed to be.
I thought that's what Mr. Robinson was here.
No, this is a council area. So, I like Sam's idea on that. I agree with you on what you're saying, Mayor, as far as you were talking about the easements on that one area might not be a good place to put that, for the trash. And I've got an idea as well, but Sam's idea might be a better idea, as far as maybe it'd take up a couple parking spaces apparently, but that would be a place. The other place that would be a place, and we won't have to pour a concrete pad or anything, but you take that corner of the city parking lot where the telephone pole is right there, and just put a fence around that, and you got it going, and you don't have it anywhere, and you're taking up like city, you know.
Well, the other thing was what Mr. Robinson was talking about, the beauty of that.
I'm not talking about that right now. Right now, we are talking about the city's trash, not the private. He's talking about a private thing. We're talking about the city's right now.
Well, but the city.
We've already voted
I
on
thought this
this.
was for the commercial trash you're talking about.
It's the city commercial trash that we have voted on, we've approved as council, and it keeps getting dropped off.
I understand, but Mr. Robinson was the main one who was wanting it, and that's what he's saying. He's looking at a site where he doesn't have to have a pad, he doesn't have to have anything, and it would be no city involvement. I think he doesn't want city involvement. What he's trying to do is what he's told us. If you want something specifically for your business, that would be a different thing.
I have trash for my business. I'm good to go. I don't need anything with trash. I'm happy. My trash is okay. I'm trying to look out for future things, and this has already been voted upon, so we're not gonna go all the way back, have that conversation for the 20th time. We're gonna talk about a location, and that's what I'd like to discuss right now. I'm interested in Sam's opinion right now on that location, and then I had that other one. It doesn't make a difference to me, but we need to get something going for city trash within our government.
Could you identify
As
who's...
Attorney Moore said, you need a motion and a second before you can bring that up because it's not on the agenda.
Gotcha. Okay, so thank you. I'm gonna make a motion, we discuss city trash.
I'll second it.
All right, thank you.
So-
Do you want to vote to add that to the agenda? Unless, if anybody has any opposition, we need a vote.
So we're voting just to add it to the agenda. Is that right?
Yeah, for discussion, yes.
So we're voting whether to add the item of...
But again, if nobody's opposed to it, you can go ahead and have the discussion
Let's
informally.
vote. Are you
if it's
okay with
opposition.
adding it or not tonight? All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. My one question I would raise, because I've asked around town, and so has Mr. Robinson, because he wants people to come in with him for this, and so far, he's the only one who wants to do this, and he doesn't really need the city to provide this for him. But if, Councilman Evil, are you needing the city to provide this for you?
Nope, I've got
So
trash
could you
service. Thank
identify who this is being, because we've asked every business person in town.
I'll do what you do. If you look at city A, B, C, D, E, F, G across the state of Tennessee, about every single city in the state of Tennessee provides a commercial trash service. We don't. We need to provide a commercial trash service, and we can put it in an area that is applicable to businesses that will be moving in, moving out, here, there. That might work with him, that might not. He said this is not set in stone. We do not know if it'll work. I can tell you from my experiences, it might not work. I can tell you it could work. We don't know. But the fact is, we need to be providing that. It is something that will be paid for. It will be paid for itself. We've already voted on it, so we're not going to have that discussion again. It's already a done vote. We are providing a trash service as a city. We've already voted on it.
Now, is the city paying for the dumpster to be empty, or is this? Or
No,
the
city will be charged. It'll be the same as private.
So we're just providing
The size,
the
basically.
site.
Yes, and the last thing we voted upon was to find out about that one site, which we're finding out, and now I'm agreeing with you, Mayor. It's not a good site, it's next to those homes. If I lived there, I
That's
wouldn't
the
go
lot
there.
across from the fire hall.
Yes, I wouldn't want it there either. Sam has it seems like a decent area. I mean, I have to go look at it, so I don't 100% agree with you, but I'll look at it. It's an option. Which ones are you talking about?
If you go down past Cole's business, the tavern, then you've got what was Carter Hardware, great building. And then if you go past that, there are 2 parking spaces just before you get to a flight of stairs that goes down to the fire hall. Only other choice might be to put it in behind the fire hall, and I didn't really look at that much.
Well, hadn't we talked about, Les, didn't we talk about putting it somewhere on the city lot?
No, that's what we were finding out, that would be a problem because of the homes around it.
Not on that grass lot, but like on the paved lot.
On the paved lot,
Where like the water trucks parked, or.
like if you're looking
Just down from where the police park.
Mailbox.
There's still houses right there.
Well, I'm talking
Yeah.
like right on the corner of
And
Spring
we
and
actually
Third.
need that space for all of our public vehicles.
Well, we used to have Les, didn't we have about two, 3 trucks or something like that out there, about that area? Okay, we used to. So it's something we could do again. We just scoot things a little closer, be good, and we could put it right there on that corner. If you're looking east, left-hand corner on 3rd and Spring right there.
You're talking about right next to that house that's there.
No, not, that would be on the south side. Talk about the north side.
It'll be on
If you're
the
looking
paved.
east, it'd be on the north side.
But
not
there
the
is a
south
house
side.
next door to that side.
No,
to that.
there's not.
Isn't there a house next door to our parking lot? Yes, there is.
There is on the east side.
It's on the, we're talking about like,
We're talking right up against, on the corner, like literally putting it on the corner of 3rd Avenue East and Spring. It would literally be on that corner.
So people would be,
But-
when they pull up, it'd be next to where they pull up, you're talking about.
It'd be in our parking lot that's paved, right on that four-way, not the gravel area that we're looking at, not the residential area.
When we talked about this before, we really need that space for the city because.
We didn't talk about this space before.
There's plenty of space on that lot, there should be like.
I look at that lot every day, there's plenty of space on it. I don't know why you're fighting this, it's a done deal, we're just trying to find a location.
It's just the feedback I'm getting from, I mean, that's where we park our trucks, that's where we put our gravel, that's where, and if you put it there,
No, we
it's
don't
gonna
put
be
any
wide
gravel.
open to anybody
No, we-
just dumping it there.
We don't put gravel out at the edge of the road.
I don't know, do y'all have
The
any
thing of
thoughts?
it is, when you put it there, everybody's gonna start bringing their garbage there, and sit right there.
Well, we would put a, it was my understanding we'd have to put a fence with a gate around
And
it.
just the people that,
And just
that
the-
personally pay, have a key.
Yeah, but y'all don't understand.
You don't have people just sitting down on the road.
Yeah.
Well, maybe
I mean,
we get a little camera there and find out who's putting it out there.
And you can say, I mean, you can say that about any place in the town. You could say someone will put their trash up against here in the park. I mean, we can't necessarily use that logic. I mean, someone might do, yeah. I mean, people put trash up against my
I know
building
they do.
every day. I got thrown away.
As far as the traffic, Chief, does that block the vision at
I think
all?
it'd block traffic. I think if
The
anything,
vision, I mean.
you know, I guess, I look at it from a different perspective. You're probably looking at a difference of 50 to 100 feet from, if the grass lot over there wasn't okay, how's it okay right there? You know, it's not really, you're still gonna be within the same amount of proximity of that one grass lot to a house to this paved lot to a house. And not to mention, there's a lot of traffic that goes through there, so you would have to figure out, there'd be a lot of things you'd have to figure out as far as trash truck, you know, the fence you'd have to put up.
Well, I would like to go ahead and investigate those two spots, the spot that Sam proposed, and then the other spot that we're talking about. Let's find out what the regulations are on it. Let's not take a guess at it, let's find out the truth on it. And we can go from there. Be the same as having a corner building right there.
Yes, ma'am.
I thought, how does it get emptied?
Trash truck.
So how would, if there are vehicles parked around it, how would the trash truck get up to it? Are you gonna have to block up off additional parking spaces so that the trash truck can get up to it to empty it?
How does the health center empty their trash? Do we have to go move everybody's cars out of the back alley? I mean, it's the same, you can apply that logic anywhere you put a dumpster. I mean, just saying, we look at it. I mean, if we put a dumpster anywhere, we're gonna have to have that question.
So, again, who would put the dumpster there? To be the people using it?
We've been through this.
No, I'm just asking, so would it be, I mean, is the city gonna pay for a dumpster to be there?
We've already been through this, Mayor Smith,
Well, no,
1,000 times.
It's a good question, though. That's what Mr. Robinson's running at. If you put the dumpster there, who is gonna come to pay for that service every month? Do we have people on board who want to do this before the city puts money into putting it there? I don't.
All right, I motion that we check these two spots out and find out the logistics of if we can do that. That is my motion.
Cole, can I clarify,
Yes.
do you want this to go to the planning commission to look at, or who do you want to investigate it and look at it?
Yeah, let's send it to the planning commission to look at this, and it needs to be, okay, and let me tag on a motion, because I know this is gonna come up again. We're gonna motion to do that, and that is what goes on the agenda for the planning commission. We're not gonna get private people, we're not gonna pull people out at last minute who have dumpster businesses and bring them in here to try to do this. This is what the will of the council was. We're gonna move forward with it, we're gonna put it to the planning commission, and that is what we're gonna discuss at the planning commission, this specific topic. This, nothing else.
So just to if I may clarify this,
Absolutely.
to understand, you're asking the planning commission to consider these two locations which you've identified in discussion and make a recommendation back to this council as to whether to proceed with one of those or neither of them, or
Yes.
make a recommendation?
Make
back
a
to this
recommendation based on those two locations, one or the other, or neither. Yes, absolutely.
May I say something? I would like for the planning commission to meet with those who are to open it up, the possibility also of putting it on in the back, the southeast corner of the parking lot beside the museum, with it clearly marked off, no parking, so that they can get in there and dump it. We put it even further away from any residential.
In the museum parking lot?
Uh-huh.
I think we talked about that. Have we not talked about that before?
We had a little bit, and it just, like everything else that we voted on.
The southeast corner. Basically, it's gonna be the museum parking lot, it looks like on Spring Street, like, there?
Yeah,
That right there.
somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Chief,
Well,
did you,
yeah, that or
do you
We-
have any thoughts about that?
Okay.
Do you have any thoughts about?
You still talking about?
I mean, I think
Yeah,
that's a
yeah,
better
right there.
spot.
Okay.
It's closer to the businesses up there.
It's just that it's closer to the businesses, it's further away from the houses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's look at that one too.
And I'd like for it to be a third option if you.
Yeah, I'll withdraw that and we'll rephrase it. The area before the stairs and the fire hall, the parking lot down there in the city parking lot on the corner right there, and then the area that Sam talked about, it's the southeast corner museum
Can
parking
I say
lot.
something about the southeast corner though? When there's a heavy rain, there's a drain pipe right there
Oh, yeah.
that shoots right out on the sidewalk. And if you put a dumpster right there, you're gonna get all kinds of stuff coming out of there. Because it's right there on that low end of that parking lot, right there. If you know what, it's a big drain pipe.
Yeah. Let's
I mean, it's
look
like
at
a
it and
big
see if that'd be a
waterfall.
problem. That might be a problem, might not, we don't know.
So we have a motion to look at those three sites, for the planning commission to look at those three sites and come up with yay, nay, or whatever for all of them, and bring that back.
I think at some point too, we need to have a cost of the fence and the preparing the area and the dumpster, and who's gonna pay that cost.
Yeah, we need that.
So would that be included with the planning commission looking at the possibilities, or?
Would that be, I mean, if we're
No.
looking at foundation, we're looking at,
Okay,
No,
well,
well,
let's first let them look at the.
Yeah,
and
I
then
think just
we'll
let
go
planning
forward.
commission make its recommendation and then the council
Okay,
can look
so
at
we have
costs.
a motion, do we have a second to that? Did we get a
I'll
second?
second, I don't know if we
Okay.
have one, but I'll.
Any further
yeah,
discussion?
Whatever we were seconding.
Okay, no further discussion, all in favor of the planning
Aye.
commission? Okay, all opposed? Okay, so we'll send that to the planning commission. What were the other things?
The other two was the ouster and recall charter amendment. I know that was mailed out, and we were gonna put that as discussion. I don't necessarily think that we need, I mean, I don't have anything to discuss right now, but we're gonna be talking about that coming up. Next month is the last month of this council, because there's an election coming up.
Mhm.
So the reason I did want to talk about it with this council is if this is something that we should move to the next council or not. I'm okay either way. I have no issues with it if we want to get the next council to have a bad at, but I wanted you all to be able to have your say because this is your last, your second to last council meeting. So that's why I wanted to make sure we brought it out. Do you all want to discuss charter amendments or no? I just saw what Todd sent today, so I don't want to make any call on it, tonight especially. So do you feel it's something, that's why I didn't expect necessarily tonight, but do you think this is something that we should table for the next council to come in and then have a decision on it, or do you all want to be involved? Because if you all want to be involved, we need to discuss it at the next
Why don't we
council
just put
meeting.
it on the next council meeting, and then we can make a decision
Yeah,
based on
okay.
all the information we have then.
Okay, so we need to make sure that that business is on unfinished business next council meeting.
Okay, what would be the third one?
Third one was, we were still waiting to get an update on where we are on our social media policy. Danielle's supposed to be our director of social media. Is that happening currently?
Yes,
Okay, okay.
All right.
I do
so-
have access.
And so
to
we
it.
got the whole policies implemented, good to go.
We do need to, our liability insurance has actually suggested, we need to actually put out a policy that shows what citizens can and cannot do as far as that, because it's considered public record and we don't need to delete comments or anything like that. It's kind of a liability that I think at some time we all need to discuss.
Okay.
Because I don't know that I'm comfortable with it.
Is there a way to research with, I'll ask both or everybody, research with other towns how they're handling this, what their policy is?
I think some towns don't allow comments, period. They just put it out as news or information, there's no comments on it.
Yeah.
So if you do that, you want to make it a page. It's a different thing where it's basically it's a page with no comment, it's informational only. If you allow for comments, you have to allow for all, you have to also allow for media to be presented as well. So you assume that liability. So it needs to be one or the other, doesn't matter what, I don't care whichever. I don't think we all care whatever, but it needs to be one or the other. You can't have it where you can delete certain comments and not delete others.
You're definitely putting yourself, and we discussed this before we adopted, but you're definitely putting yourself at more risk of liability to have to make that decision as to what to keep and what to delete. If you don't
Exactly.
allow post at all, then you're only potentially liable for whatever the town post itself.
And it really frees us up a lot, just to put out the news and that's it. But we could talk about this next time if you want to think about it.
Yeah, can we have that, can we have a drawn up policy for us to be able to vote on that by next
I think
council
we
meeting?
could, yeah, we could just do an amendment to remove that part of it for public comment. I think even just a motion to authorize an amendment to remove, to just state that we are not going to allow comments on, because we're just doing the Facebook page right now.
Right.
correct?
Is there a reason why we can't vote on that tonight, though?
I don't think we have the language to vote on as far as the policy.
You're just talking about a general motion to not allow, right?
Right, I would be comfortable, again, considering the potential liability that's out there, if this council wanted to make a motion to authorize or direct Danielle as the social media manager to take down or stop allowing future Facebook comments on its page, I think you could do that.
Okay. You want to make a motion?
I'll make that motion, just what you said.
Okay.
So Daniel, he's making a motion that Danielle is the, exactly what he said, I'll second that.
We're going to authorize no comments. Would you
Are
repeat
you
that?
okay? I mean, that's what.
Yeah, as long as, I want it to be I want the administrator to not be someone who's an elected politician.
Okay, could you repeat
Yeah,
your?
it's not gonna change that, again,
Okay.
all we're doing is going from the current status, which I haven't looked at, but my understanding is it
Allows
allows
post.
public comment, and then Danielle has to decide whether to remove it or not,
Right.
to change the settings so that public comment will not be allowed on the town's Facebook page.
Okay.
I'll second
so
that.
We've got a motion and a second. Any discussion on that? To not allow comments on the Facebook page. All in favor? Aye. And opposed? Okay, so that gives you, frees you up a little bit on that one.
It's a major liability. I didn't realize until we just did training on it the other
Kind
day.
of why I brought it up several months ago.
No, I appreciate it.
Okay, so in our new business, we have Ms. Virginia here with a request for, well, application for a permit. There's several other things, steps that we'll have to go through, but this is the initial, I guess, to get a date is what you were saying.
Yes, we need to secure a date for River City Ball for next year. We're suggesting Saturday, April 24th, 2021. Same standard as last time, or as what we applied for this last time that got canceled because of COVID, but we would close the streets Friday night and have the event Saturday. The event would go from 6 p.m. until 11 p.m. and then the streets would open back up on Sunday. So that would allow us time to have our tent vendor come and take down everything, get the streets cleaned back up, everything that needs to be done. We can't get the liability insurance or the ABC permit until we have a date confirmed and approved. So that's kind of what
You don't have a date yet?
we want to do it April 24th, but we need your approval to be able to do that before we can. I don't want to commit to a $1,000 insurance policy if we can't have a date from you guys.
And the question that Councilman Evil raised, is this something that the new council or the old council needs to approve? I don't know.
Let's just do it now. A motion to approve, second.
Just to clarify, this is a motion because we will, I'm assuming that you'll want it to come back, the application to review to make sure everything complies at some point, but this would be to give a tentative approval for the River Ball on those dates, subject to meeting the terms.
Well, I guess we wouldn't need a motion, you would probably just need to come back with the application next week
I would
or next
prefer.
month.
Yeah, I think that.
You prefer a motion? Okay, new motion.
So, yeah, if that's the motion, I think that's fine.
Okay, so the motion is to approve the date of April 24th, Saturday, April 24th for the River City Ball. Is that done yet?
You
We
got a
have a
second?
second.
Second? Any discussion on that? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so that's the date.
Let's make sure that's on the agenda next month too.
On the agenda we'll be
The
able to bring all
approval
that.
of but she's gonna have the application.
We
need
won't
to-
have, no, we won't have our permit by then.
No,
The
they've got to have the
GC
insurance.
permit takes a little bit.
Okay.
So you'll just contact us.
So just let me know when I need to put it on there.
Yes, as soon as we get that,
Okay.
but yeah, we didn't want to confirm anything
Yeah.
until we had the date, so thank you.
All right, thank you. The next item is the first reading of sign permit fee ordinance P 2020-812. 0812. Dr. Duke, could you kind of just briefly, I
Yeah.
think we have a copy of that. Is
Yeah,
that a
everybody
copy?
should have a copy of that.
Yeah. It's 2 pages here.
Basically, this is just an add-on to we had to redo the whole sign ordinance to make it kind of fit federal and all the, I mean, it now is pretty well legal for the sign ordinance that we have. The original sign ordinance that we had, there was a $100 charge for anybody to apply for and get a sign. It was just a flat fee, $100 fee. When we redid the sign ordinance, all about 25 pages of it or so on and so forth, we put everything in there, but there was, we did not add a fee for an application. Now, the reason why that's important is because we need to recoup the time that it takes to just, for somebody to apply. And there's, you know, the staff has to look at this. There's a whole lot that has to go on, so it takes up time. So we at least need to have a fee, which is a non-refundable fee for just the application, whether they get the sign permit or not. So that was already baked into the original one, but it was just a flat fee of $100. If you had a sign big as this place or a sign this small, it was still, the city wasn't doing that, wasn't collecting it, but it was in the ordinance. So, and this particular thing is basically an amendment to the sign ordinance that we've already approved, saying that we have a $50 fee. So when you apply, you pay the $50 fee just for the application. And then, because actually the fee for a lot of the signs that we're getting, that's being put up, some of them are like $50 is what the fee is to get the sign put up. And that just in and of itself doesn't cover what the cost of the city has to do as far as clerical work and doing all the applications. There's a little bit more too now looking through the application for a sign than it was prior to this because of new regulations. So that's basically what it is. It's just an amendment to the sign regulation or the sign ordinance for an application fee.
And correct me if I'm wrong, this came over from the planning commission, didn't it?
Yes, and on August the 12th, it was approved through the
Okay.
planning commission.
Okay. So do I have a motion to approve this?
I'll make it.
Okay, second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion or questions?
Yes, I'd like to motion for an amendment to this, and I'll give you a reason why. I actually voted for this to begin with, Dr. Duke, and Dr. Duke put a lot of work into this, and you know how much I think about you. I did have a constituent come to me and speak to me about paying a fee to put a sign on their building. And they didn't seem to have an issue with there's being rules, but the fee was the issue. And the fact that they have to do this and they have to be paid for it to put a sign on their property was the issue that they had. And so even though I did vote for this and I like everything on it, I would like to amend it. And so I guess the proper procedure for this would I would motion to amend this, and then if I got a second, we could vote on the amendment and then vote on the other thing. But my amendment would be that we take off the $50 fee and also the other, it's the $50 non-refundable fee, and then the other.
But if you do that, it has to go back to the planning commission.
It has to go back. Okay, gotcha. So it would have to go back to the planning commission and also take off the other, because there's the application fee and then fee for the sizes of the sign, is that correct? Okay, so taking off the application fee and the fee for the sizes. So that would be my motion to amend it. And it would have to go back before the planning commission if we amended it.
Do we have a second to that motion? Hearing no second, it would fail for lack of a section. Second, excuse me. The amendment does. Now we go back to the original, and we're at the second, so any further discussion on that? Okay, all in favor of passing it as written?
Aye.
All opposed?
Opposed.
Alrighty, next one is Chief Davis. Is he still here? Chief Davis? Oh, here you are. The next one is dispatcher Bivens, a pay increase that you're requesting.
Yeah, just real quick, guys, this won't take long, hopefully. I have a part-time dispatcher, Mr. Bivens. He's been working for about a year right now. And come here to just talk to y'all for a minute, see if y'all would bump his pay back up to what all the other part-time dispatchers are making now that he's been here for a year. So I did about $1 raise. He's been filling in, he's been pretty much taking care of it. Between him and another part-time dispatcher, they've been doing pretty much all the work in there for us when all the full-time are out. So
Motion to give him a raise?
I think it's only fair to bump him up to what the other part-timers are.
And how much could you say?
It would be roughly $1. I think he's making 13 something now. It'd bump it up to about 14 and a half or something.
Okay.
Motion giving that dollar that?
Yeah, just bump him to what everybody else is making.
The motion to bump him up to where everybody else is.
Okay, do I hear a second to that?
Second.
Okay, any discussion on that? Okay, all in favor?
Thank y'all very much, guys. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. And this last item, I think we've covered in your questions. Our questions, right?
The only part of covering that is that I would like to see, I asked if we had a policy for it. I didn't get an answer on that.
Well, the policy for this particular one, because it was unique, is that in your ordinance, it said it's either your public works director or someone from public works. So that would mean that those 7 men are who we had to choose from. The only one we knew was qualified was the gentleman that had been doing it. When we found out that another person qualified, we spoke with him individually. I spoke with both of them together. That's about all we could do because we didn't, there was.
You need to post it first to find out if there is anyone qualified.
Well, we asked everybody if they wanted to do that.
You didn't post it, period.
Well, I'm not sure that, it's not a job, it's an appointment within the public
It's
works.
still when you're in that position,
Okay,
you want to.
we've said we will go forward. If there's anything, other appointments come up like this, we'll post it on the bulletin.
So I'll make an official motion then. I motion that we create policies that cover internal and external open positions and supervisory positions as well, and that they be posted, and that policy be brought before the city council so we can vote on enacting that. That would be enacted by an ordinance, am I correct on this?
Yeah, it would be an amendment to the personnel policy is the most appropriate place for that to be,
Okay.
which would be by ordinance.
And I'll second.
So now,
Can you repeat that?
Sorry. I'd like to motion that we work on the city creating a policy that covers internal and external positions.
Okay.
Also covers supervisory positions as well that open up. Because the internal positions need to make sure that they are covering internal employees. External positions need to make sure that internal employees and external civilians can see that, as well as supervisory positions need to be covered in both those areas as well.
the supervisory, we do definitely do that. The only reason this was a little different was because it was just an appointment within the public works. And the director didn't want the position for supervisor, so.
This way it never happens again. We don't have to worry
That's a
about it
great
anymore.
thing. All right, so we have a motion. Do we have a second to that?
Yes, I second.
Okay, any discussion on that?
Yeah, I would amend to add that we also specify that if any specific job duties are being assigned, that it also be posted.
I'll second your amendment.
Just to clarify now, if the assignment's supposed to come from a supervisor, would that impact that anyway? Would it have an impact on I mean, if specifically a supervisor normally assigns something.
Honestly, we need to have a clear thing. We're playing too much politics with it. So I'm seconding it.
Okay, all right. Any further discussion on that?
I'd like to hear that one more time.
Please don't make me read that.
Are we
So-
saying overall, every department, we're not just talking about what happens tonight?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
every
everything needs to be
So
posted and job
we
duties.
might want to hear from our supervisors
Well,
about this,
and-
but
Mayor,
yes, ma'am.
yeah, just for clarification, this is gonna come back before you in writing in the form of an ordinance as an amendment to the personnel policy.
Okay.
So I think we
Okay.
can probably take what's been stated and put it into something in writing that you can look at and then vote on.
Okay.
Kendrick has something.
And so there's an amendment, there's a motion and a second on her amendment. So we need to vote on her amendment or discuss it.
So, right now, if we vote on this, it's just to let you come back with the language?
Right, it's
basically?
just,
Okay.
because it does need to be done by ordinance, which needs to be presented in writing before it can even be passed on first
Exactly.
reading, so.
And 2 readings, isn't it?
Correct.
And I would be interested next time to hear from our supervisors about this also, because this is a bit of different from.
So
Let's
Cole,
invite our supervisors to the next meeting so
Cole,
they can give their say.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
If you want to accept that as a friendly amendment to your motion,
Yep.
and if it can be seconded, we can go ahead and vote on.
I
this
second
action.
her amendment, yeah.
Right, so we treat that as a friendly amendment and then just.
Okay,
move forward
friendly
with the
amendment,
vote.
yes.
So, would you rephrase, we're voting on letting you write the language for the ordinance, basically?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Any further discussion on that? All right, all in favor? Okay, opposed? Okay, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion adjourned.
Oh, wait a minute, Dr. Duke?
Just wanted to make a quick announcement as public health officer. As of today, we have the next to highest test positivity rate for COVID-19 in the state of Tennessee, our county, next to highest. The only one that's higher than us is Macon County. We've been running above 10%, which is a high rate for over 2 months now. We're averaging about 7 new COVID-19 cases a day now in Smith County. Our hospitalization rate is going up. Our age 5 to 18 cases are going up in number. Wear your mask. Wear your mask. This is the most important thing. This thing is airborne. Wear your mask. Wear your mask. That is the most efficient way. Wash your hands. Sanitize your hands. Keep your 6-foot distance away. This is not something that we need to be known for in Smith County, is having the next to highest test positivity rate in the state of Tennessee. That's not good. And we can solve it if we do what we're supposed to do and follow the guidelines. This virus has not gone away. It's not going away anytime soon. And so, I mean, we're looking for a while, so we just need to get used to doing this and taking care of ourselves. That's it.
Thank you, Dr. Duke. All right, a motion to adjourn, I heard. Seconded?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, adjourned.